Thank you, Sean. I'm used to speaking at oil and gas events, and so I normally start with a joke about that I'm the only person that didn't back into their parking spot today, but I'm pretty sure that these two are the only one up here that would understand that one. But anyway, and talk about innovation, I've now started backing into my parking spot every day. But anyway, so we're here to talk about innovations and movements forward in the oil and gas industry. Kind of stepping back from my ag background, one of the things that my dad taught me as a farmer was that to get the best bean out of the ground, you have to stress the bean plant. You have to, at some point in time, shut off the water and stress that plant a little bit to get it to grow and produce beans the way that you want it to grow. Innovation works a lot like that. We tend to innovate when we're stressed. As human beings, we tend to make advancements when we have stresses on us. And I think that there's no question that this last couple of months, 15 months or so, has been stressful on the oil and gas industry. And so we're here to kind of talk about a few local advancements that have been made and about the industry in general. So I'm going to introduce the panelists introduce themselves actually moving forward here, and what company they're from, and then we'll ask some questions and then give you guys an opportunity to chat at the end. So we'll start with Brandon.
Good afternoon, Dave. My name is Brandon Sheets, and I am the project manager for AIC Energy Corp. And we're in the process of building a renewable aviation fuel and diesel fuel plant down by Trenton, North Dakota.
Yeah, my name is Wyatt Black, one of the co-founders of Credence Energy Services. Always glad to be part of the discussion here. Just to put it into perspective, obviously, whoever thought you'd see negative $38 oil, but for Williston, it's last year. If you saw Ian out, it was probably happy hour and a 2-for-1, and if you saw me out, it was only because he was buying. But so what a good friend. But once again, one of the co-founders, along with business partner Kevin Black and Malachi Black, we incorporated back in 2014. We employ 150 people, 75 here in North Dakota, and we just acquired a company down in Texas and Oklahoma that have about 7 facilities and 75 people also. So we specialize in oil and gas specialty chemicals. We provide treatments to existing producing wells, protecting downhole equipment, extending the life of the downhole pumps, improving flow assurance, and helping ultimately get the oil and gas to the sales within spec. Our operational headquarters is right here in Williston. Big thanks to Williston Economic Development Council. We've been recipients of 2 funds, our initial building, and then our opening of our state-of-the-art facility, or our lab, just last year. And then our office headquarters is in downtown Minot, where Kevin is based out of. So definitely excited to be here. Thank you.
And thank you, Wyatt. And I could only afford one, so he still owes me for the last few. So my name's Ian Vestal. I'm a landman with Empire Oil Company out of Williston here. Empire Oil was founded in 1983. I've been with Empire since May of 2001. So we are basically your oil and gas lease brokerage company. We handle, I always tell everybody we're the glorified paper pushers. We handle everything up to the point of drilling, and once drilling starts, we step back, and then we may come back into it at some other point, whether they expand well pads, infrastructure, pipelines, maybe they want to frack, they do above ground lines. So we come back in as maybe a right-of-way agent or anything of that nature. So
Thank you. Appreciate that, Ian. I know that each of our panelists has a little bit of an advancement that they want to focus on a little bit as we discuss. But to start, in a former life, I was a history professor, so I always have to think about things from a historical perspective. To kind of set the stage a little bit, I want to ask all 3 of you to speak individually about what are some of the most important innovations, advancements, or developments in the oil field that have brought us to where we are today. Let's start with Wyatt.
All right. Yeah, well, like always, when you get pinched, obviously you got to find ways to do things more efficient, safer, quicker. Drilling continues to improve their drilling time. Hydraulic fracturing continues to fine-tune their pinpoint completions in addition to their frac designs. And what you're going to hear a lot about between today and next week's Petroleum Basin Conference, where Kevin will be speaking on the main stage, is enhanced oil recovery. Basically, we need to figure out how to do more with less. There's a political agenda that's not necessarily in favor of the oil and gas industry, and until we can kind of get a clear vision of the future of DAPL, you're going to see capital kind of touch and go in terms of the drilling and the completion activity. So what Credence Energy has done is put together basically a technical task force. Kevin Black has done a phenomenal job along with our technical director, Eric Nelson, and our field manager, petroleum engineer by degree, Josh Nelson, to vet and approve state-of-the-art chemistry that at the fraction of a cost of refracking or restimulations, we can pump down hole and extract more oil with a lot of the depleting, I shouldn't say depleting, but the natural decline curve assets that realistically are just going to be on a natural decline curve until really the price of oil comes back around and they see fit to go back into these wells. So that is going to be a big focus is EOR, enhanced oil recovery. And what our team did is they had vetted a company named Locus Bio, who has state-of-the-art technology called a biosurfactant. And that is a chemistry that have approved out and are realizing right now in terms of some field trials that I'll probably touch on here in a little bit further in discussion.
Very good. Thank you. Ian.
I would say the biggest innovations that we've seen out there doing land work is probably because most of our job typically starts when a client comes to us with an outline of an area that they want to drill, pursue. That can be 1,280 acres, it can be 12,000 acres. So we will go out to the courthouse, research that title, and we want to know at the end of the day the mineral ownership breakdown of each one of those tracts. And I would say the biggest innovation that we've seen are these courthouses that are now going backwards, and they're putting their stuff from the patent, from the day that land was patented up to present online. So now we can pay $10 to $12 a month fee, and we can work from home anywhere. I mean, we've got land people scattered all over. We don't physically have to be in that particular courthouse pulling those books. And in fact, most of the courthouses now have done away with books. They've done away with the paper. Everything is scanned in. It's all digital now. When I started 20 years ago, I was by far the youngest person in there, and I remember seeing a guy in his 60s scanning documents and thinking, wow, that's crazy. What's he doing? Well, I was all paper. I mean, I still carry paper, pens, everything. No one carries around paper anymore. Everything's scanned. Everything's in. So that's the biggest innovation, I would say, is the digital, the technology, the computerized of the documents. And you really don't, you can sit in your pajamas behind a table and run title all day. And it's more efficient. I mean, you really are more efficient, I think, when you have people, some people at home. They work faster, they work easier. So I would definitely say from the courthouse standpoint, it's got to be the scanning that they've done on the back end.
Thank you. Brandon.
So I guess I'm kind of the odd man out up here, being that we're doing a renewable fuels plant that we will utilize soybean and canola oil rather than crude oil to produce sustainable aviation fuel and renewable diesel. So the technology is not your typical biodiesel plant. We will hydrate and use hydrogen in our process. So it's more of a conventional refining process utilizing renewable fuels. So being that we're not drilling, the technology has definitely come 100% around, where we can produce 100% sustainable aviation fuel, or we can produce 100% renewable diesel fuel through the same process, changing computers. So the technology has definitely come around with a better byproduct than biodiesel had, which was glycerin, which now for us is liquid natural gas, propane, and naphtha, which we can also utilize in a renewable form to produce our hydrogen in an SMR unit. So it gives the renewable market an even greener name and ability to go greener. We'd love to say we could go carbon neutral, but we will still utilize an awful lot of natural gas in our processing. So we still lean on the petroleum industry to help us continue to move forward until we can figure out how to produce a steam and hydrogen without it. So
very good. I think those are all great introductions to some advancements that have been made and set that stage. So I can remember the excitement that I had the very specific day that Kathy Nessett sat me down and explained to me directional drilling and what that meant for the industry and how that worked. Coming to understand that advancement for me was a really exciting moment. And I think that each of you has some advancements that are exciting that you want to talk about, and you've kind of introduced those. So I'll go ahead and start with you, Brandon. If you want to kind of get a little bit more specific into how does it work, what gave your company the idea, and let's kind of move forward on more specifically into your advancement.
So when we first looked at the project, we were actually looking at doing a crude refinery down there. And we did our feasibility study, and it was during the height of the pandemic, and oil prices were really bad, and the renewable sector was still being profitable. So we decided that maybe we should pivot. We did another feasibility study on the renewable side and decided that this is the direction that we're going to go. Even with the old administration and the new administration that's in there now, there's a big push for renewable fuels and renewable energies. So it kind of fit the bill for them, and it fit the bill for us moving forward and looking towards the future and what direction fuels are going to go. Right now, I can tell you that there's about 3 billion gallons being produced of renewable fuels in the United States. The U.S. government would like by next year to have 36 billion gallons, and there's no way we're ever going to make that mark. We're working with the delegation of North Dakota as well as DC, trying to approve another pathway forward. As of right now, soybean is the only direction to capture what they call renewable energy credits and utilize that. But we're trying to work with both sides and the EPA to allow us to get a pathway approved for canola oil, which is readily available in western North Dakota as part of the project. We're also looking at building a crushing facility to crush our own oil right here in Williams County. So that's the direction and the idea that we're going with right now.
Good, thank you. Wyatt?
Yeah, you bet. This biosurfactant that we rolled out here just over a month ago, bio meaning it's 100% biodegradable after 30 days, and surfactant meaning it's a surface acting agent. The purpose is to alter the wettability of the rock down hole, improving the flow of oil. The way it works, and just bear with me here, it's not going to be a chemical lesson or anything, but we vet specific wells, whether vertical conventional wells or mile laterals, 2 mile laterals, and it dictates the size of the job. What we'll do is we'll pump several hundred barrels of water up to several thousand barrels of water with a single pump unit with a specific blend of our biosurfactant in this water. We'll pump it down hole. There doesn't have to be a rig on location, anything like that. We'll just shut down the well, pumping down the back side. We'll let it soak for a few days. And what that's doing is that it's altering the downhole wettability that was once oil wet to water wet, reducing the interfacial tension between those two fluids. Additionally, unlike traditional surfactants, the reason for the soak period is because our surfactant will absorb to the rock. So it will have a lasting effect to that reduced interfacial tension, where we can also monitor through testing at the surface to make sure we still have some sort of residual downhole, in addition to the increased oil production. So we'll kind of marry the two. Lastly, unlike traditional surfactant sizes are typically 20 to 100 nanometers. Our surfactant is 1.2 nanometers. As a reference point, a human strand of DNA is 2.5 nanometers. So it's very, very small. So what that allows us to do is penetrate rock that traditional surfactants would just pass right over. The wells have already been hydraulically fractured. They've already been producing for 10 years. There's also a natural frac matrix downhole too. And so the size of this allows us to penetrate deeper. So punchline basically is because of the size of the surfactant, the absorption of the surfactant, the reduced extended time of the reduced interfacial tension, it ultimately increases the mobility of the oil from the rock through the hydraulic fracture to the wellbore and up the well.
It's very good. I think one of the things that in my time out at the EERC that I've come to realize is that kind of one of the holy grails is being able to get more of the percentage of oil that's there in the rock out, right? If I can't remember the exact, Josh could probably straighten me out if it was 3% or 11% that we're currently getting, whatever it is. So this is meant to ultimately get more of the oil out of the rock. And do we know what percentage that moves that up to, where we're at normally and what it moves it up to?
Yeah, we're still proving it out right now. If I can just talk about some results that we're kind of encouraged with. We've pumped 5 jobs to date, and they're with 2 of the top 10 major producers. So our engineering team has been working exclusively with their engineering team, their reservoir engineering teams, to truly vet these wells to give this chemistry the best chance to perform. We pumped 3 2-mile laterals last week, kicked them on, so that data is a little bit early. However, the first 2 wells we pumped just over 30 days ago, these wells, they were single-mile laterals. These wells were drilled in 2008, 2009. Over the last several years, they have been producing about 20 barrels of oil a day. What we did is, just like the procedure I mentioned, kicked them on after a several-day soak period. These wells are now producing over 120 and 130% oil, so basically 2x what they had producing over the last couple years. Due to actually some grant funding, these wells are actually net positive right now, so the ROI has already been realized. So you can see we're very excited about this chemistry, excited to see what these several 2-mile laterals do, but we're going to continue to monitor the guys in the back here, Eric, Josh, and Kev are bird dogging this like crazy because this very well could be pretty groundbreaking, and we're definitely excited, encouraged by what we see. We're definitely going to keep our feet on the ground here, despite some of the performance still a little early, but it's definitely very, very encouraging.
Exciting stuff. Thank you. Ian, anything to add?
I can't touch any of that. Sorry, you got me. I got him to that point, and then I had to back out. So, no, I think from a land standpoint,
these are some of your acres.
Yeah, they probably are. From a land standpoint, I mean, we're seeing some stuff out there where there is some technology, some software being developed that you can input, you can scan in a deed, and it will interpret that deed for you. And eventually what it'll come to is it will kick out a title opinion for you. It's in the very, very early stages. There are 2 companies out there right now that are trying to put it together. I mean, I've heard about this for a while, and I think it's getting closer and closer. But really, at the end of the day, I mean, we pride ourselves on being the middleman to go out there and visit with the people. They want a face. They want someone to talk to. They want to know what's happening, what's going on. So we try to be that person. So it's hard to take the personal part out, and they call us. They don't call Wyatt. They don't call Kevin. They call us and say, hey, what's going on here? Well, let us find out. We'll be that middle person for you. So we just want to continue to be the face of this and be out there and be on the ground and seeing these people. And if they have an issue, they come to us. They tell us what the problem is. We can get it fixed for them. Okay?
Very good. Thank you. This is a selfish question. I'm in workforce training, obviously. So next question is, we talk about these advancements that are being made. What specific training or education do you guys see being needed to take advantage of these advancements that you're making? Start with Brandon.
Well, as we've talked, or I've heard talked about almost all day today, is there's going to be a demand on trades, the trade jobs, your welding jobs, your electrical jobs, your operator jobs, secretary jobs. I mean, we're looking to build our facility from the ground up, which is going to take about 135 employees to run it, and it's a facility that doesn't shut down. It'll run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's just what it does. So as we move forward, we'll work with Train North Dakota, and we've been working with the Job Services North Dakota to try and put some programs together to be prepared when this facility does come online.
Yeah, in our case, it's going to be just a significant investment and continued investment in our new lab there, just north of town here at our facility. It'll require equipment and then obviously the STEM degrees to manage that equipment and continue to improve and advance this chemistry and new chemistries.
Okay, thank you. Having that face out there, Ian, right? Yeah.
There is some. I'll be honest, I don't know. I know there's some land schools that are out of Oklahoma and I believe Butte in Colorado. So it's getting to be, but more of those kids go on to the your corporate area. So there's not so much a broker. They go to corporate jobs basically from that point.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we've talked about the past, we've talked about the now. If you dare have a crystal ball at this point in time, talk to me about maybe some advances that we're right on the verge of that you're excited about maybe in your field. Start with Ian.
And I think I mentioned it. So that software that's coming out or that could potentially come out would take the place of title attorneys, that you basically feed these documents in and it spits out a report at the end and it basically breaks everything down for you on a net track basis. So I think that's coming. I don't know for sure how it's all going to work because you still have to have the interpretation part of it, and that's what's so subjective in our business is, my interpretation could be different of somebody else's. So I think it's something that's coming. It's positive. We try to stay ahead of the drilling if we can and keep things up to date and keep it current, and that's where I believe the courthouses with having all their information online and accurate and scanned in and together, we can keep all that together and keep moving forward ahead of the production. So,
very good. Thank you, Wyatt.
I was kind of hoping that biosurfactant was enough, but so if you don't mind, can I just try to scale the opportunity here real quick? Right now we're producing about 1.5 million barrels of oil a day. With the current CapEx coming in, the operators drilling and completion programs, it's going to be hard to maintain that daily production. So what we're doing with this chemistry is we're finding a select parameter of wells. There's currently about 18,000 producing wells right now. So we're going to target those that are basically below 100 barrels of oil a day. And from a round number standpoint, it's a significant volume of those 18,000 barrels. So let's just say it's several 100,000 barrels a day that this chemistry can be applied to. If we can sit there, inject this chemistry, increase the production of wells that would have never been touched and just been on, once again, their natural decline curve until at some point, P&A the wells. If we can produce 60, or maybe we can kind of continue to follow the trend right now of over 2x production on these wells, that's a significant volume of oil that was not there before, was not seen or capitalized, or captured, I should say. So that what that does is that gives the operators up here increased cash flow. It gives them the opportunity to maybe turn around and reinvest in their drilling and completion programs, which is good for everyone. That's more money for the state, more money for the counties, more money for the cities. It's going to increase the workforce because of the increased oil activity, but with the funds. And it's going to be good for both direct and indirect commerce, because I think it's pretty obvious that when oil's doing well, everyone's doing well, especially in western North Dakota. So we're just really continuing to stay focused on proving out this current technology and taking advantage of what the state has helped us out with in terms of some grant funds to prove it out. And we're just going to continue to create and innovate and basically do more with less, considering the market.
It's awesome. Thank you. That's exciting stuff. Brandon?
So I see our future is moving forward in different areas of feedstocks, from garbage to at a cellulose level on utilizing tree products in the Northwest. These technologies are being proven right now by the U.S. government, the USDA, through their programs, who also help to develop the technology that we'll utilize and allow us to continue to move forward making renewable fuels.
Very good. All right. Thank you all for those thoughts and responses to my questions. We've got a little bit of time left, thank heavens. So we'll open it up if there's any questions out in the audience. Try to see through the shine of the lights. Thank you. Okay, if there's no questions, then appreciate your time and your attention, and thanks to the panelists.